What street is your neighbor on? On the same street as you, that you said?
No, better. Here we go. Roll call.
Okay.
Call to order the Public Works and Utility Committee meeting at the Village of Lisbon Hall. June 18th, 2025. Current time is 5:02 p.m. Roll call, please.
Trustee Moonen,
Present.
trustee Beal,
Here.
Jane Miller,
Here.
Joe Everly,
Here.
Sam Pless,
Here.
engineer Neitzel,
Here.
administrator Green,
Here.
DPW director Wilakowski.
Here.
DC finance Trupper. Here. And clerk Casaza to record the minutes.
Stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Item 3 is citizens' comments. In person. Step to the podium. Hearing or seeing none, we'll go to Zoom.
No one present on Zoom.
One present on Zoom. Item 4, approval of meeting minutes. In your packet, the 5/21/2025 Public Works Utility Committee meeting minutes are presented. Any questions? I hear none. I'll call for motion to approve.
I make a motion, we approve.
Made by Linda,
Awesome.
seconded by Joe. Any discussion?
Mm.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
I don't abstain.
Motion carries 4-0, abstained by Jay. All right, moving on to 5, department reports. A, Department of Public Works, DPW Director Nick Wilkowski.
All right, so, Monday, highway guys had a bunch of random things going on, did a bunch of shouldering, a lot of subdivisions, was there, I don't know, read them all off, but all those subs were completed, and, we tried shoulder reclaiming this year, the practice used the county for bringing up material to the edge of the road, so we can grade off, just using existing gravel material that's already down there. Bring it back up, grade it off, and kind of saves costs on putting new gravel down. So we did that in a bunch of our mains, and it's definitely a 2-year process, I think, because the grass is kind of built up so thick on the shoulder that once we kind of cut through it a few more times, maybe we'll have pretty good material to work with, and instead of going 2 miles of straight road, it costs a lot of gravel to put a 18-inch wide shoulder on. So
You finding a lot of materials there pull up?
yeah, some of those are a little like Mary Hill is probably one of the worst ones that don't know. I mean, when they pave a road, there's a lot of gravel that's on the outside.
Yeah.
So there's a lot down there, just dirt gets brought up, we cut grass,
Yeah.
debris, so gave it a try this year, and I was pleased with how it turned out. Like I said, it's a 2-year process. I'd like to do it in the spring again and kind of keep working at it. So fills in all the low spots, helps take that knob off the back side of the shoulder, so you get all those washouts all run down the road, so cooling under the road, so the county was thankful for letting us borrow that, and that worked, I thought it was pretty good, so got a lot of shoulder done. Thank you. So, and then we demoed a stand-up blower too, which was a cool thing from Proven Power for subdivisions. What they normally do is you have a truck with either a broom, big broom on front, and then the front mailboxes, you have to get out and sweep every single one, which subdivision, a lot of driveways, and fall behind quite fast. Otherwise, you can walk and leaf blow it. So the guy just walks, throws some tunes on it. Over a walk and leaf blow. Well, pulling up 2 backpack leaf blowers doing that. They're all warranty, but I just don't think they're meant to be ran that hard for that on hot weather. So we tried this stand-up blower. It's basically a 0-turn stand-on, but it has a blower on it, and worked pretty cool. So that was kind of fun to try out in subdivisions, and it will keep going pretty fast, packing those out. So that was a nice little demo to try out. So that's kind of fun to make the highway department and the parks. Getting ready for a community fest, a lot of spring weeds. all diamond soccer fields, and they got 3 summer help kids for this summer. And for me, worked with Dan selling fire department equipment. Worked on getting down the meter readings in Richmond, and then kind of prepping stuff for summer, getting materials ordered, and looking at getting jobs lined up for ditching and shouldering and that fun stuff. And got the pump from Develop, the grinder pump that gave us an issue. That's on the last page.
What does that sentence say? Is that, it says pair of kids? You think you got a bunch, what's it mean?
There, kids underwear.
Oh,
Oh, yeah.
oh, okay. I could have said a pair of kids under lodge. Looks to be a Paw Patrol pair.
Yeah. So, yeah, when we're cleaning
You
up,
missing something?
That's, Wisconsin Pump Works to pick up the pump. 2 days ago, they picked it up, so there'll be, when they tear it apart, it's going to take plenty of pictures of what caused the issue of it, you know, so they're gonna, when they send me the, how it's done, it's something that was, there'll be a kind of a brief description with pictures of what they thought was the culprit, if there's multiple culprits. So, yeah, so that's taken care of, and then,
And then that will be most likely turned over to the property owner. Okay,
Yes,
They've already been billed for it, but they're arguing against it. Based on what the pump, the E1 pump brochure says that it can withstand caulk material and things like that. So I think that the determination of what actually happened to it will help us then refute whatever.
yeah, now I understand what the picture is, what's in there. I couldn't, what's that? Okay,
so, that's, pretty much it, and I got, 2, bids for the seal coating, projects that we're looking to do too, so, and then just work on ditching and shouldering.
Oh, thanks for the,
oh, thank you.
thanks for the pictures.
Yeah.
And Diane, thanks for all the village staff's hard work at the community fest. There was a lot of employees attending, a lot of employees worked, and a lot of hours probably went into it. So thanks to everyone on the staff. Right, utility district. Mr. Neitzel.
Good evening. My report's in your packet. Flows for the month of May at Janine, Plainview and Willow Springs were all down from what we saw in April. Let me see. And then from what we've seen from last year about this same time, they're all in line with what we saw in May of 24, with the exception of Willow Springs. You'll see that that was down about 600,000 gallons from what we seen in May of 2024. And if you look at the flow chart, you'll see the rain was up in 24. So gives you a hint about I with the Willow Springs system. Any questions on any of those?
I just noticed on Richmond, things are starting to calm down as far as flows with the transition of the fire department. I assume that's what it is. I just questioning where are we like finding what the problem's going on? At
Well,
Richmond?
Yeah, so if there are no questions with Plainview, Janine or Willow Springs, and moving on to Richmond School. The lift station did have just about 124 hours of runtime. That was all on pump 2 because pump 1 was out of service. So there's about an average of 4 hours a day. The well readings for Richmond School for the month of May were 64,600 compared to 55,900 in the month of April. So water usage was up. The 2 new pumps were delivered to the DPW building. And actually pump 1 was installed by Dorner today. They picked it up this morning and got it installed. So we now have 2 pumps back in that lift station. And we have the spare one sitting at the DPW shop. The temporary flow meter, the last readings were taken at the end of last week, and the last well readings were taken Monday. So we got all that information in our office, so next month we'll have something made up for that, showing the sewer flows and the water flows, but I can tell you just from the information I've been given, the sewer flows are almost double what the water shows. And there's a lot of flow at night. So I don't know if it's that iron filter backwashing or what, but there's a number of peaks I'm seeing on these charts. Anywhere from midnight to 3, 4, or 5 in the morning.
Is that actually installed in a manhole right now, that temporary?
Yep.
What do you think that's causing that?
Like I say, I don't know if it's the iron filter they have in that building or what it is, but I want to chart the rain with it too, so we can see if the flows, because the flows have gone anywhere from an average of 7,000 gallons a day for sewer to over 13,000. And I want to say 13,000 was on a weekend, Saturday, Sunday, something like that.
And we know we don't have a day off from the readings. In other words, we know exactly.
I need to double check that with McKay Shaw. I just got the information from them, so I want
Okay.
to go over that, and I want to make sure that they saw there was enough flow in the pipe that we're not getting weird readings on these totals,
Yeah.
but I threw the water against the sewer and it's pretty much double. So, but I'll get stuff put together on that for next month.
Okay,
The last thing that didn't make it on my report is the televising was done. They just got that done. So the reports just showed up in our office. So I'll go through those and I'll have that on next month as well. And if you remember, that was Business Park East that we had televised.
This sounds like a dumb question as far as Richmond. Is it possible artesian well is there somewhere that we don't?
there's a spring in the,
Right.
in the lot east of the school building. I know that
Right,
was there before they bought the stupid property.
right. Could that be could that be adding?
Yeah, but that still says that their pipes are leaking, then they have a source of letting that water in. So
Okay, thank you.
Is there a concentrated spot where we can determine if there's a leak in the pipe or if there's a break anywhere?
well, right now, from what they've done, they've said they've televised everything and they haven't found any issues yet.
Well,
So it goes back to either they got a roof drain, yard drain, some type of drain hooked up that we're getting.
Can it be anything down the line that's beyond them? Like if there's a crack in the pipe?
We were up in there where we sampled was right up in the parking lot in a manhole up there, so.
Mhm.
So we were probably halfway from the lift station up to the school is where we sampled.
And that metering was for what period of time then?
I don't
A
have it in front of me. No, it was probably about 2.5 weeks.
And we haven't had much for rain.
No. Mm-mm. So, and like I
Because
say,
live right
it
down the street.
varied quite a bit. Like I
Yeah.
say, from 7 to 13, it's almost doubling in what it does in a day. So,
Well, if it was the iron curtain, the well readings kind of would reflect. the
Right.
right, correct.
Extra water usage.
Yeah, so that's why I wanna correlate the two, and I wanna talk to Adam and see if he knows what days that backwash is, or if it's just based on their water usage, that it's kind of random, or,
But still, like Jane said, it's gotta be, we aren't got the well reading, so that should take that out of the equation.
yeah, that's true.
And
You know, if the
water in,
water's already
water out.
accounted, the water's already accounted.
Yeah,
for,
this has
the
gotta
water-
be inflow.
So any more questions on Richmond? Then moving on, fire station, flows there were down, 5,800 for the month of May. Well, we were at 7,500 for the month of April. And Casey's was also down for the month of May. But both of those remain in line with what we've been seeing historically, so.
I reached out to Mark Hoppy. They have a tracking system that Pewaukee uses as far as filling up their tankers and how much water they pull. So they're gonna provide a report, probably monthly, but I'm gonna coordinate with you as to when you want those reports so that they match the reports.
So do they
Okay.
fill from? When they fill the tankers back up, at the station, do they pull from their well?
They
Okay.
pull from, from wherever they respond. If they respond at another location, they'll fill from that spot. But if they are in Lisbon and responding, then they would pull from all of them.
Yeah, so if they go, say they go to Heartland
Yeah,
on a mutual aid request. And they discharge water at Heartland, they'll go over to Heartland's source, fill back
Okay.
up, so we're whole. Take 100% of the truck back to the station.
okay, well, that's what I'm wondering, because I just wanna make sure we're not paying for sewer charges for,
Well, the problem is if it is a Lisbon responsibility to replenish the water, we are drawing from our
well,
well.
But then you can subtract that out of the rest. of the
Right.
readings, is what,
So-
that's what.
which
Joe
would
was
make
talking
sense
about.
that they're gonna go back and clean up and they're gonna fill it back up at the
But
station.
historically, we have not been keeping track of our fills.
Right.
They just been filling it. It's never being subtracted from
The
our
well
our
rate.
sewer.
Yeah,
So we're
Okay.
getting. We're getting charged essentially every time we draw to fill the tanker.
Right.
Not that it happens that often, but. This is something we found that's been going on for
I
years.
mean, what do those tankers hold?
3,500.
3,500
I mean,
gallons.
it's not a huge amount of water, but it is,
Something.
it's penny, I mean, it's money and I'm cheap, so, okay. I don't wanna-
Paying
I
the
don't wanna
treatment plant
pay,
bill, you still have to-
yeah, I don't wanna pay Sussex anymore.
I mean, if you're talking 15,000 gallons in a month,
Yeah.
it's a ding in that number for sure.
Well,
Well, and if
since I hear every time they leave the station from my house, it's more than a couple times a month.
Yeah.
It's amazing how many calls they get out of that place. Oh, Christmas. Okay,
I believe that's all I got unless there's any questions. CMAR's in your packet. I guess we'll talk about that later.
Just rolling back to Willow Springs, what are we doing to, I mean, obviously we're tracking this, but we're not giving any analysis or notice to,
I know we talked about it before as a sanitary district and I think we've touched on it here, but at some point, I think you gotta go back to Willow Springs and they gotta start to address their I issue. I mean, it's privately owned.
Right.
So. But yeah, I think as a user, you have. to
it's
go
only
back.
one customer, right? We bill Willow Springs, we don't bill individual, okay, and then they pass that on to whatever they
We sure
charge
do.
everybody.
Mhm.
Yeah, we had talked about Willow Springs before, obviously, and we were trying to take care of Richmond first, but maybe
Right.
we time to start on
So-
Willow Springs.
is there flow coming from, there's flow coming from the north? Correct,
Coming from the north.
before it gets to Willow Springs?
Yeah, that interceptor sewer goes farther than that, if that's what you're asking.
Where does,
But where
where do
this,
your Willow
but
Springs
where this
flow?
is getting metered is before it comes into the interceptor.
Okay,
Yeah, that meter, I believe, it's on the east side of the road, but it's before it dumps into that interceptor, so it's just measuring Willow Springs.
yeah, I mean, do we have an idea when we last noticed them? I mean, this is not a
Right.
issue.
Mhm.
I know our ordinance addresses that it's their responsibility to. Obviously, they're paying for it, but we're also paying for it as well.
Well,
It's
it's
eating
eating
up
up your
capacity.
capacity,
Right.
right?
Maybe something you may want to share the new ordinance with them and say, you know, we need to start looking at.
There's Chicago.
Yeah, attorneys.
I know we just renewed your license a couple of months ago.
You know, if you drive through there and look, a lot of this could just be leaky manholes based on where these manholes are laid out. They're just in yards and you can tell water's sitting on top of them and. You know, I can't say if the pipe's in bad shape, so I don't think it's ever been televised, but.
I mean, again, it's a private system, so. I mean, we should at least notice them and put them on notice.
Mhm.
Yeah, is that an administrative thing we can
Yeah.
tackle?
And then send us copies.
Well, I mean, we should, can we bring it back to July? Sure. And just,
Okay.
Golly knows what shape those laterals are in. They probably have never been, how old is that park?
Forever.
I mean, it's probably as old as I am.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
let's add that to 7 and then just bring it back for discussion. And we can at least give them a historical perspective and put them on notice with what the ordinance is. All right, anything more for Mr. Knightsel? At 5C Sheriff's Department. Lieutenant Corey Farrell is present.
So I'm here for item 1 and 2. Number 1 is the flock update. I believe this one was in your packet. This is the list of all flock successes that we've had using our county network. So this doesn't include other agencies that surround us, such as Menominee Falls, Germantown, New Berlin. Most of those will not be on here. A couple of them you'll see that are like City of Waukesha. That's a case that started in our jurisdiction that we use their cameras to see. The biggest highlight in here, which was from 2024, but we put it on here because it was right at the end of the year. We didn't talk about it. There was a business in your village that had $150,000 worth of equipment stolen, and we were able to locate it just outside the Chicago area. But flock hits from cameras around this area helped us get the vehicle description, the plate, so we could identify our suspects. Another highlight we had back in March, stolen vehicle recovered. We had a couple months back, I guess it was in May, strong arm robbery at the Walgreens in Sussex, but we were able to ID the picture for the vehicle with cameras from Sussex and Lisbon, and then they took us on a little pursuit all the way into Milwaukee. Those are the highlights. The camera's been very successful for us, and with the partnership with Sussex, where we looked at it holistically, saying, how can we protect both communities together using 6 cameras that we have, 4 funded by Sussex, 2 funded by Lisbon. We got a very good perimeter around the municipalities that they both help each other out.
How long do these things last?
They are under a lease, so
Okay.
any damage, drunk guy knocks one over, they immediately get replaced, which has happened to one of our cameras.
So this is the full report, if I understand correctly, for the 6 cameras.
Yes, so this is our
court.
cameras, and there's actually a couple of Pewaukee cases on here too. The city of Pewaukee has a couple of cameras, so this includes that. But the municipality on the far left column is generally whose case it was, and then the couple columns down where it says camera, that's which camera it actually hit off of. So there's some of them that hit off of a Sussex or a Lisbon camera, and then we use them in other investigations. And there's been a couple of our investigations that we use other cameras around the area for. Like the example of the stolen equipment is a bunch of skid steers and trailers. We ID'd it based on a camera in this area and then found them where they were actually hiding out based on a flat camera down in Chicago.
It would appear to me, out of ignorance, that these things are cost effective.
I would say that they're very cost effective.
I mean, looking at this,
It gives us a good coverage on the municipality, considering Lisbon alone has a single deputy on 24 hours a day. Sussex had 2 more, but between all 3 of them, they also have call volume to deal with, not just patrolling. So having the cameras at all the entrances, they're the primary entrances to the village, is a huge benefit.
and this is just a total of 6 cameras?
This is just 6 cameras, yeah. Menominee Falls, I believe, had 17. Germantown, I think, is up to about 10. Pewaukee, Brookfield, Heartland, everyone in the area is starting to get them. And that's getting this network together has been a great asset. Like when we were looking at camera placement, we don't have anything up at town line and county line. But we figured that probably wouldn't benefit Lisbon because between Menominee Falls and Germantown, they have like 10 cameras on County Line Road. So we're gonna get all those cars coming in anyway.
Yeah.
So why not redistribute the resource somewhere else?
That's the only question I would have. Would there be any benefit to get more based upon your experience in this report?
I could look and see what gaps we have in coverage right now. The as far west as we are, the biggest gap we have is gonna be county line and town line, but that is very well covered by Germantown and Menominee Falls, so I wouldn't be overly concerned with that area. And then we pretty much have every major road east-west covered. The only possibility could be Good Hope, but I'd have to look at like traffic counts to see how beneficial that would be.
Is there something that's covering the west end of county line at the county line?
We have Highway 164
Yeah.
at Q. We have one southbound and Richfield has one northbound. So any cars on county line, if they go north or south, we get them. Farther west, we don't have anything until we get into the Heartland area. I'm working with Mern to see if we can get them to get a couple out that way, but currently there's not.
Yeah, because there's a lot of traffic I notice on County Line Road coming from the west.
Okay.
So I don't know. I mean, this is you guys know more about this than I ever will.
I'm part of working on a project right now to get flat cameras and on the interstate. And some of the traffic counts that we have, the problem is that they're a couple of years old. So a lot of the data that the state hasn't been updated since like 2022 or 2023. So out here, I can't imagine that we get completely accurate traffic counts because they're outdated, and with how much development we've had, it's crazy.
Okay, thank you.
Any other flat questions? The second item has come back in front of you many, many times. Walnut Grove and Terry Lane speed study. This was one that we had one conflicting speed study. I believe this is the fourth time we've done this speed study because one of them showed high enforcement and now this is the third one that shows low enforcement. So this was kind of just an update for you as a board to see the current conditions. And based on this, it appears that the traffic concerns through there are very minimal.
So from your analysis of this, this should be all we need to do for Walnut Grove?
Based on my review of this, the average speed limit is 31 in the 25, which is not unheard of. And it gave us a 4% of even enforceable violations. So
Okay,
in terms of me telling my deputies where to do extra patrols, this one falls fairly low on the list because this is a very low enforcement rate.
how do we share this, Dan, with the HOA over there?
I can send it to a number of people that I have contacts with. It probably won't change their opinion of the matter, but I can send them the information.
Yeah.
Is there a way we could change the ordinance or the policy to say that if you have, we've done this 4 times and I think the 3 years of this board's been in effect, that, you know, we would maybe review it again in 2 years or, you know.
I mean, we can keep reviewing it, but it's pretty much what the study has been.
It's been very
consistently showing.
consistent over multiple years. We have our speed studies kind of on a running pattern of how often we redo them. So generally, depending on the type of road, we redo them every couple of years.
Okay.
So we can add this to our list and continue checking it. In terms of the residents that are complaining, I think some of their complaints might be because of construction and stuff that's been going on in the area with different developments. So in 2 years, could it be vastly different? Sure. My review of these speed studies has been very consistent. And the whole packet is online and I clicked on it today and viewed the entire speed study. So they want the information. It is out there.
Based upon the amended policy that was put together by Lisbon, do you think that that's working okay now?
Yeah, so if we get a speed complaint through the website, it goes to myself and my captain. So we get immediately notified. I just had one that came in today or yesterday that came in about a dump truck issue. So that comes directly to us and then we can address it immediately. So from a efficiency standpoint, I think it's been working really well.
Okay. I want to know if we need to change it at all because this has all been put on you and you guys.
We get it right away. I can get, if it's speed related, I can get it assigned out. If it's just general traffic, I can have a deputy start working on it right away. Like the trucking example, we got our day shift deputies doing extra patrols of it starting the next day.
Thank you.
Any other
This-
questions?
This is great because considering what we had to go through previously, this is a lot more.
It sure is.
We
Last time
dumped
I was
it-
here, I think we had 6 of them.
Yeah. Cause we dumped this all on you guys and it seems to be working out.
It has worked out well.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you.
All right, 6, new business, discussion and necessary action regarding preparation and submittal of 2025 CMAR report. Would have been emailed to you guys on Monday.
Mhm.
Yep.
Yeah,
And the printed copies were handed out when you arrived tonight.
Yep. I went through it and it looks fine to me.
yeah.
Don, do you have any highlights to
I-
say from it? I know it's pretty basic.
Yeah, I mean, this. Mike Sargent prepared these over the course of the last, I don't know how many years. He did the last one for the year 2023. I did go back to him for some of the financial information, like section 3.21 with the equipment replacement fund. That info I got from Mike. The one thing I had brought up to Dan and some of the village staff was when you turn the page and you go to section 3.3, calculating what we really should have in the equipment replacement fund. I had a couple conversations with Mike on that. I don't know if that's really calculated correctly.
I don't think
He's-
it is.
In his mind, he's saying what we should put away in a year. When I'm explaining to him. So when the DNR would look at this, it's when the village would apply for funding for like clean water funding or something. They're gonna look at this and say you don't have enough money or you have enough money, and there's a calculation for that. That's not how that's figured. This is what Mike's saying that should be put in the equipment replacement fund every year
Mike,
That seems. like a
Sergeant.
lot of fun Anyway.
to put in there for a year. Yeah. So going into next year, I mean, the DNR has been fine with this because the village has never really applied for clean water funding, so they really don't look at this. But going into next year, we'll look at that. I talked to Dan about starting to come up with a list for the equipment we have at the lift stations, give it a value, you know, then depreciation, everything else. So
So, are the grinders part of our, that should be on the
That-
list?
should be a discussion we
Yeah, I
have.
mean, that we do have depreciation list for and a
Okay.
list of when they were installed and when they were replaced and the depreciation schedule. I have found nothing in regards to the sewer mains or the lift stations, in regards to value, depreciation or anything.
I
So
mean-
we're gonna have to start from scratch and develop that.
We should have a schedule.
Right,
I mean, something to back this up.
right.
As an example, we just bought 2 pumps. That's where this should be coming out of. Yeah,
So
we
Don,
should,
Don and I are gonna meet next week and maybe take tours of the lift stations and review everything and start from scratch and make a depreciation schedule and
Yeah.
with these reports and help with insurance too. We're trying to get quotes for insurance and that all ties into that too, so.
did, I assume that. I just have a question under future planning I assume that means, where it says project number 1, that means land and interceptor.
Yeah, I don't know why that didn't stick. I corrected,
mean,
Mike
I-
had a couple
I'm not-
typos in that, but
Yeah,
I had trouble with it that last year too.
Did
where it
ya?
wouldn't say,
yeah,
yeah.
I just don't wanna pay for land. and-
Yeah, I can go in and fix that. I
I-
had it retyped in there, but
Well, if it seems appropriate, Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to accept this and forward it to the village board for review and approval and signature and get this filed.
All right, motion made by Mr. Everly. Is there a second on it?
a second.
Seconded by James. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye. Opposed? Motion carries to.
Should we
5-0.
change, is there any reason we need to change on the front page here and get rid of the sanitary district?
I can see if it'll let me change that. I think when I change the credentials on DNR, I think it still popped up that way, but I'll
I
double
mean,
check.
it's a technicality, but I.
Right.
I get what you're-
All right, discussion necessary action regarding 2025 seal coating proposal for Village Hall, DPW and Stone Family Park. That was placed. In the packet, last page. Dan, you want to introduce us?
Yeah, so when we went out to bid for crack sealing in May, the low bidder was 124,795. We had in the budget 146,500. So Nick approached me with an idea of getting this parking lot done, his parking lot done. I'm getting it seal coated and then also doing the Stone Family path. So we got quotes from Farner and Merritt. And Merritt came in about 10,000 lower than Farner. And that would be just $508 over the total budget that we allocated. Speaking with Nick, he has room in his in-house paving budget, so we can pull from there, or how the budget works, it'll just balance out if one's under, the other one's over slightly, so. So village staff would recommend that we do all three to use up that budget. This parking lot could definitely use it, and so could the highway departments. They're gonna, I believe they're restarting.
I just have a couple of small questions on the one for here. Are we doing that path up to the shelter? And then on what's being done at Stone Family Park?
So Stone Family, 2 years ago, we paved the path from the parking lot connecting to Sussex, so it goes up to the new playground that was built.
Yeah.
And it goes and Sussex Lisbon border. We paved that, I want to say 2 years ago, 3 years ago maybe, and just good asphalt maintenance to get a coat of seal coat on there.
So what all are you do, what I'm saying is it doesn't show on here what,
Yeah, it's from the beginning of the parking lot there,
Yeah.
to the parking lot jump.
yeah,
But it goes all the way and there's there's a red line. that should be
oh,
there.
okay.
That red
So,
line's the
so it
property
goes
line.
from the parking, it doesn't include the parking.
No parking.
So it goes from the parking lot over to the, up to the, okay, that's all I,
The Sussex lot, the Sussex area is a red light?
I'm not doing anything on Sussex area.
No, I know. I don't want you to. Okay. Okay,
I think that's a great idea and as long as we have the funds, you might as well. The price of oil isn't going down. What do we need?
It would be a recommendation to the village board. for-
I had a question, Did we reach out to Just Merit, or was this a bunch of?
So I reached out to Barner, Merritt, Johnson didn't reach out to PLM, and I reached out to 5, I had no callbacks out of other.
Gotcha. I know in 2021, we used, Pete's Pro Seal, which is a Lisbon resident.
Yeah, I don't know if he would be able to do the size of the parking lot that we have.
Cause they're the ones that did Village Hall the last time.
did you ask or
The village
contact them?
hall here with. PLM did the village, did DPW, 2 years ago, I wanna say, just. For the salt shed, and then PLM did it. So, people I reached out to, going to that I got for it, so.
I think maybe because Pete's did a good job for us, in the future, maybe just automatically include him because he's in Lisbon.
Alright,
Yeah, I mean, we have, I think there's like 3 local
Yeah,
residents that have private businesses that. You know, I mean, it looks like we used, we paid a bill in September of 21 for, Pete's Pro Seal that did a asphalt path at a park,
mhm.
so,
You know when that was?
oh, I wonder if he did, doesn't have it here.
Who's that guy behind me? To the west of the subdivision there. Right off of,
I know which, I know what the date was if you want it.
I'm just looking at the agenda to see if there's anything attached to it.
It's in the bills, for the September 13th, 2021 meeting.
I mean, we can definitely keep them in mind next time, just for the sake of, like Joe said, costs aren't continue to go up, so we thought this would be a good bid if we start getting more quotes. I don't know how long this quote's gonna last.
And if
Why-
there's three
but-
of them in the area, get all
I
three
can
of them.
check with Pete too, but I'm almost certain that he doesn't do commercial. Right, he does a lot of driveway, I know he does that, like path here,
I know for a fact they did this one the last time.
this parking lot here.
Yep.
I don't know, I wasn't having a seal, they had like crack filled it, but there's no seal coat on the parking lot at all.
Ever?
Oh, there's nothing on it. That's wrong. So this was done not too long ago, this was like 2, 3 years ago, that got done, but this parking lot's not.
This has to be done again?
Yeah, I included it with,
2 and 3 years, it needs to be done again for people walking there?
I mean, I know the Stone Family Park hasn't been done since it was laid and it's definitely in need of it. Aggregates coming through the top. Yeah, I mean, me personally, I'd like to see,
Mhm.
I'd like to see some other bids if Merit is the true winner. I mean, I got no problem with them, but,
Mhm.
I guess I'd just like to see some more.
We'll bring that back to the committee here then next month.
Well, are we going to be able to retain these 2 bids we have now?
I want to think Maris was only something, but
Because it's gonna be 45 days before they were gonna award a contract at the end of the summer. Or can we just go with what we have, since we asked 5 and we got 2? I just don't wanna hold these guys out too long, I don't think that's fair.
I can ask around. I didn't ask for block, he was looking at the previous ones that Joe got for DPW, for block, he was. $5,000 more, so I kind of just went with Mayor, PLM, Barn, or Johnson's, he never got one from, so I reached out to them. So, that can reach out.
They already know what these are.
What's that?
They already know what they're competing against, so all I have to do is come in with $1 less.
That's a dollar less that the people have to pay.
Okay,
All right. I guess, we'll table that to July. Is that enough time? Table that to the Public Works, meeting in July, which will be 16th. 6C, discussion necessary action regarding next steps and draft timeline for submittal of sewer service area expansion sewer pack. All right, so I had several members of the committee reach out and think it would be a good idea to essentially reignite the traction we had on this so that we don't lose focus of what we wanted and where we stand with that. So Dan, do you wanna, I know you put in the information sheet for everyone. Do you wanna just rehash what we were talking about?
Sure, so Don and I talked to Joe Deedle from Sewer Pack, and he gave us a lot of information on the different types of sewer expansion, their sewer updates to our plan. One's a full sewer service area update, which is the bigger one that we're talking about. If you have 1,000 acres, or if you have, you don't have a current sewer plan within, 10 or 20 years that hasn't been updated. There's a kind of a list or criteria they go through that determines whether it should be a full one or a targeted service area amendment. We discussed with Joel at the time that we're limited in the capacity, which may help us to, qualify for that targeted service area. And because the size of and the scope of the area along K is smaller than 1,000 acres, obviously. Some issues that might come up are, I don't know, the sewer plan that we have. Hopefully is up to date enough that they will allow us to move forward with it. There is a significant cost increase to a targeted or a smaller service area amendment than there is to a larger one. That's because sewer pact encourages municipalities to do a larger facility update, because you're looking at your sewer plan, you're looking at your facilities plan, and they want to see those consistently being looked at. From our end, I think we know the reasons why we want to extend sewer. In the report I have, it talks about the 2-inch force main that we're having struggles with the Richmond School, and that services our fire station. Providing a gravity force main would remove that issue, so we wouldn't have to have a contingency plan on how we're gonna fix if something goes wrong on that main. It also provides an opportunity for the village, as we discussed in previous meetings, in regards to development along Highway K. As in regards to if there's any issues with failed septic systems in the neighborhood surrounding the area, and other future development that might extend a little bit further to the west or to the north. We also have a couple of large properties along K that would be ideal for some development. We've heard rumblings of people, of some of those property owners that are interested in developing those, whether it's a commercial or a residential subdivision. And so we're at the point now where I think we need to either figure out if we're moving forward, and we're bringing this to the board to allow staff to continue to pursue moving forward with sewer pack to extend the area, or if we're deciding that we're not going to do it and we're just gonna put all our eggs into the basket of coming up with a contingency plan in the case of a failed force main that services Richmond School. And that's pretty much it. Conversation.
Yeah, one thing I wanted to toss in addition to what Dan said is, I think there's a misconception between actually getting sewer at your house and making a plan to have the community set should something ever happen, whether it's developments, emergencies. This essentially is a planning tool that professionals use. It looks like our last one was done in 2011. And most of us are at lay person status here. Obviously, Jane has an expertise in this, and Joe from his prior career. If we don't plan, the worst thing that's gonna happen is we're gonna have to plan when an emergency happens. Or, a landowner wants to change the use of their land and our plan doesn't allow for it. It's just gonna be a lot more work. One thing that this plan does is it lets us look at the area as a whole and plan for the future to show people what different areas might be, or what tools are in place for them. So, Jane, do you have
No, I think it's just going to prepare you. It'll be a quicker way to react to the farmer that wants to develop his land. It's gonna be a quicker way for us to actually proactively to address the issue at Richmond School and the lift station that is just the big money hit to the community. And I just think planning is not a bad thing, and this would just prepare the village for the future. And I think it's very beneficial.
I don't know, Joe, you had strong feelings about moving forward with this. Where do you stand as far as what your purpose of, again, talking about this is?
For the same reasons that Jane just mentioned, and also the minimal cost that this would be. The reason being is that we just spent last month, what did we just spend on 2 new pumps? And we keep replacing these pumps at Richmond School, so the cost to do this. The sewer part is small compared to the rest of the work that's gotta be done. But as Jane said, we need to plan to be in a position that when, not if, but when something happens, that we're prepared to act on it. Otherwise, it's gonna take 6 months while everybody sits there and twiddles their fingers while we
It's gonna be
wait
more
for,
than 6
yeah.
months.
for all, yeah. I've never seen one, all the ones that I've done took 6 months. But it's gonna take a long time to do that, and the costs keep rising and rising and rising. There are stop points during this whole process where decisions have to be made. This is only the first step. It does not commit the Village of Lisbon of putting 1 foot of sewer in anywhere for anybody. It gets us to the first point. And I think it's well past when it should have been done. We need to do the planning. We need to work with the Plan Commission to get this taken care of, so we get to the first step. So we're ready to go. And then we can make, along with the rest of the appropriate municipal committees, about how we go to the next step on that. But we can't get to square one without getting this stuff.
I guess I'm just heading around the horn here. Mr. Plus, do you?
Yeah, like I say, we're about thinking ahead for the future. And we gotta look at it that way too. Things are gonna be happening out there, and the Richmond school thing is a thorn in our side. That's something that has to be done. You know, you look at it, all we're doing is looking at possibly doing something with it now and planning ahead. I really think that we should be looking at that.
Lynn, I know you've served a long time on the sanitary and now the utility. Where do you stand as far as?
I
planning?
agree. I think we have to look to the future and see and be prepared. I have no problem with that. In conjunction with that, though, because we would be expanding the district. Another reason why the people online should not have pay for expansion into Sussex, because that only that helps the new development. And there's another big payment that's going to be due, which depreciates the amount of money that the district now has online. And like I was talking to Dan, in the future, we have older pipes over there now. And if we need an issue, we have to dig up something. We're going to have to take out a loan, but we have that money there right away for our repairing our system. We'd have to take out a loan because the people online have paid for the expansion. To me, it's a Village of Lisbon cost to expand the district, not the people online. I think it's totally unfair to the people that are paying monthly fees that have their money paying for expansion. And here we're talking about expansion. It just makes common sense to me.
So you're sitting at the point where the planning document, you're in favor of.
That's fine. I have no problem with that. Again, I don't want to have to pay for a loan to fix something in our district that we had the money for. And it's used for expansion. That's where I'm coming from.
Sure.
And I think it's totally unfair.
And just so we're clear, by updating this document, we don't lose control of projects. Those are gonna be separate board and commission level discussions and actions, so. We're really just staying focused on the planning document and updating that. The last one, again, was 2011, looks like, and it was actually quite an interesting read. I read it the other day again to refresh myself, and it's just, when you look at it as a regional thing, it's amazing to see how much the planning area has grown in even around us, so.
Absolutely.
Don, do you have any input that you want to throw in there?
I think the only thing, just to kind of go along with what Joe was saying, was that if there was a square one, I think you guys took that step already when you took the capacity in that sewer that's already there. I mean, at that point, Lisbon made the decision, at some point, you're gonna expand, you want that capacity, so that you have. So now it's just a matter of taking the next step and expanding your service area. And again, it doesn't, as it was brought up, it doesn't tell you to have to run sewer out anywhere, but it just gives you the right to, and something should happen, so.
What do we need to do? Is this just I mean, we're discussing this. What's the next step from your standpoint, Dan, what we
I,
need?
I think it should be discussed at the village board. So I
Okay.
think there should be some recommendation from this body that the sewer expansion, whether it's, A or B, full service or targeted service area amendment, that discussion is forwarded to the board so they can make that final determination. And direct staff to follow up with sewer pad.
Does anyone want to make that a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Who's fine?
Wait, for which one?
Yeah, do you want to
To,
clarify?
yeah, I'll make a motion to forward to the village board the recommendation to do a full sewer service area plan update, facilities plan,
A full one or a targeted one?
the full one.
All right, motion's been made for a full sewer service area update to the village board. Is there a second on that?
I'll second that.
Seconded by Jane. Any discussion by committee members? All right, hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries to board 5-0.
Can we also then put this on our agenda for next month?
Follow, yep.
Well, will we have a village board meeting between now and then?
About 30 minutes.
No, but.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, because, well, the village
Yep.
board is the second and then we're the third, so yeah.
Right.
Okay.
We'll have two.
If you wanna do that, if you guys wanna
Unfortunately, the
come up with a
Sorry, but-
10-minute agenda change,
would probably
yeah,
probably violate a few laws by doing that.
as long as your name's on it.
I will be abstaining from that then. All right, 6D, discussion necessary action regarding policy creation for grinder pump repairs and replacement. Dan placed in here a memo and surprised the room isn't packed because the last couple times we put grinder pump terminology on the agendas, it packs the room, but Dan, you just want to give us a recap of where we're at with this?
Yeah, so I pulled all the invoices for what we spent on grinder pump repair or replacement, 2023, 24, and then so far this year. I didn't see a major, cost associated with, I know there were concerns about our calls being made and there's nothing wrong with the pumps. Every service call that was made had an issue with them, that something had to be replaced or a panel, electrical issue or whatever it was. So I didn't see a need really to forward any service calls through staff to determine what their validity. I think that those calls are fine directly to develop. I think we were looking at the replacement pumps and so we have, I believe we have 2 pumps right now. One's good to go and the other one is being repaired right now. So what staff's recommending is that with any service call to develop that requires a new pump, that developer picks up our pump, puts it in service. We had this discussion at the last meeting, so this would basically memorialize it with staff and with develop so that they know what to do. And then any old pumps go back to the highway department, they get those repaired, they check for the reasons for the issues that caused the pump to go bad. And then they report back to us anything they find, and then we have a backup pump ready. So that's what our recommendation is. We did get a couple of calls regarding not having their tanks inspected this year. I received 2. One person didn't mind, she just wanted to know. The other one was a little bit more upset. And Lisa can talk to that point. But not a happy camper, so.
What it relates to this, I think we can.
Well, I think we had it in the last discussion that we were looking at just the inspection for, $325 pops. And I explained to the one person I talked to that we didn't necessarily find it financially prudent to spend $12,000 or $13,000 just to review pumps and not have much input into, you know, a required need to replace or a need to fix or. So she understood, the other one not so much.
I think the only question I had on this, the reserve pumps are sitting at our shop. So if an emergency happens outside of business hours, are we then having somebody come in?
Yeah, I got called, I would come and, open the door to get them.
Yeah, I mean, that,
Everyone at work knows where they are, with something, on the towel or something weird. Everyone knows what they say.
well, I guess the only thing I was thinking of is it an option for Debelic to house the two pumps?
I don't know if it would.
They want to.
No,
I don't
They
think
take up a lot of room.
I think they want to,
I know they had issues when, remember, we used to have them pull them and they'd inspect them. Of
yeah,
the reason why they failed. They had issues with even having them then.
exactly.
They wanted to keep them for like a week and they wanted them gone.
Do they usually replace with new ones during,
Yeah,
even during a late?
Yeah.
call like that?
yeah.
Cause it was quicker for them. And. more
so how are those two gonna get in service then? Are they gonna call you guys to come get them?
Yeah, they would call, soon to call Dan or I wanted to, so they would call me and then I would say, we got a grinder pump, we gotta replace, so they would just bring me the one they pulled out. And I'll have the one there, they can throw on their truck.
Yeah.
Take that one, rinse it off, and then I call, Pump Works, and they'll either come and pick it up, or I'll take it up to Green Bay, and then it gets done. They're usually pretty good, they picked up the last two from us and dropped them off, so I only had to take one trip out there to bring them home. So, they swing down in there, they go down to Illinois a lot, so they just come by, they'll be by next week, we're going down to Illinois, we'll grab it, sweet. Grab it. So it's nice having two now, just in case. Doing two.
I'd rather keep possession of them.
I would
I'm
too.
not saying anything against the Debelic, but it's like. It's ours, it's there, it's in there, and this is not something that's going to happen within an hour. Okay, they're gonna find a problem. And it's gonna be a couple of days before they can get the people out there to do it, cause you gotta get a backhoe and you gotta. You know what, everything else will be done.
I would think the majority of the calls they're gonna get are during the day. But probably wait till the morning to call. Folks wanna call at 2 in the morning. Yes.
They know how to get hold of you right there.
Okay. All right, any other discussion? All right,
If you need a motion to,
Yeah, I
As a-
would like to just memorialize the process, just so, we haven't. Brought this to develop fully to get it started, we just wanna have a concept of it, so then if you guys are good, we'll take it and run with it, so.
I think you did a great job. This is information we've never had before, so this is good. If you need an action, I'll make a motion to approve staff moving forward with processes outlined in Dan Green's memorandum.
motion's been made by Mr. Everly. Looking for a second,
I'll second it.
seconded by Dan, any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Hearing none, motion carries 4-5. And 7 items to be placed on future agenda.
All right, so I've got a status update for Willow Springs. I've got revised seal coating bids and I've got sewer area expansion coming back next month. Is there anything else you would like to see on the agenda next month?
No.
Other than whatever Don may have for us?
We have talked a lot about updating the code and which is kind of sitting there and it hasn't been updated. I think we need that, bring that back to the board.
Back to this,
Yes, this
yes,
board,
yes.
absolutely.
So I think the sewer code was updated when we adopted the codification process
Right.
resolution.
Well, we talked about the grinder pumps. It wasn't in there per se, and that's what has to be addressed. I
Yeah.
think the board, this board needs to talk about it.
So that would be a request on grinder pump discussion,
Okay,
so.
Okay.
Yeah, that would.
and I also would like to add on the,
Oh.
I'm sorry.
Is it to add our discussion to the code?
It's to review the code to see if we want to make any changes or let it status quo as far as who pays for the grinder pumps, because we had talked about limiting it to out a couple years to do this or to do that, or whatever it was. I'd like some verification, so if this comes up, there's no question. No question, I think we need to put it in writing.
We also have some other items on that sewer ordinances.
Yes.
Sent to the codifiers that were never completed.
Yeah.
That we need to do.
Yeah.
We just got it through so it go bit with the codification.
Yes.
We never completed the sewer user ordinance.
Exactly, exactly. And then also I want, as a board, I would like to discuss the cost of the expansion as a board here. Please.
That'll be
What-
part of the facilities plan. That whole, we can't talk about it until we get the numbers. The sewer service area amendment, the facilities plan will have costs in it, then we'll, in order for us to,
I think she's
Adopt
talking
it.
about paying for the study.
No, the study, yeah. Well, I know that people online are paying for the study. There's no question, correct?
the village of Lisbon is paying. There is no sanitary district anymore, okay? So I'm gonna pay for it and you're gonna pay for it and everything, all right?
He is paying for it.
No, there is no utility. All there is the village of Lisbon. There's no utility anymore. The utility went, it's flew away a long time ago.
She's
What is this
talking
here
about
called?
whether it's the utility fund or the general
Yeah.
fund,
It's-
but either way,
A board.
So, yeah, just to clarify, so we're not,
yeah.
so you're asking for the sewer pact amendment or study?
The sewer
No.
service area amendment.
Well,
Sorry,
I
not
just,
sewer.
Yeah.
but I can understand what Joe was saying, hey, we need to find out if we're gonna expand. Cause that really makes a difference. Well, not really. It doesn't make a difference to me. I just wanna talk over why the people online have to pay for expansion for the whole village. Whether the whole village should be paying for it, you, me, everybody.
So is there a specific expansion project you wanna talk about?
No, I'm just talking about what we just paid, the $400,000 that we just paid out of the fund, as well as the $350,000 that's due soon. So that people that are hooked up are paying for $750,000 for expansion. I wanna know why. Why doesn't the whole
So that,
village pay for it?
so you're talking about the plant,
Yes,
not the service area.
no, the plant.
Okay.
Cause we just paid that. Now we got another one coming up. And boy, there's not much left in the account. So like Dan said, if we have an issue, we have to take out a loan. Which seems grossly unfair to me.
Sure.
Got it. Thank you. And if it sounds confusing, I'm really sorry.
No, I just want to make sure we weren't talking about what we just approved.
No, I have no problem with that. It's just something that they have to, every
Sure.
municipality should have to do that.
Anything else?
Nope.
All right,
Thank you.
All right, motion to adjourn made by
Me,
Jane.
Oh.
Sorry,
I'll second.
seconded by Linda. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none.
6:10.
6:10.
What are you gonna do with all your time now?